I had to take a little sip of coffee first before I started this video. Hey guys, what's up? We're back with another video, and I just gotta say, is this how the Honda Civic Si is gonna go out? And are they even gonna make another one after like this generation is finished, the 11th gen? Well, stay tuned and find out. So this kind of has been on my mind for the longest time, and I'm not a person to be too up to date on the news because I don't really follow the news all that much. But if it's like something that I'm interested in, I will probably follow the news to a T. Now, we do know that the 11th generation has been out for quite some time now. It came out in 2022, and this actually was the first time I actually liked a new car. And I'm one of those people who, when new cars come out, I'm on the side of fence. Going back to what I was saying, a couple months ago, they have refreshed the 11th generation. And at first, again, I wasn't really up for it. It was just, it looks too bulbous and rounded. It just looks weird. But on the other side, it kind of looks more muscular, and it kind of brings the Civic just a little bit more upscale. And, but more so, I bring this up with sort of the biggest elephant in the room, the Honda Civic Hybrid. Now, if we go in the past Honda Civic hybrids have been pretty awful, starting with the 7th generation. Even though it wasn't a huge redesign, the slight subtle changes they did to the bumper, I know the trunk lid or whatever, it just really was awful. I don't know why companies, when they're making hybrid or electric vehicles, what's wrong with just keeping the car standard? Like, I think it's better to keep the car standard. Yeah, you can make it hybrid, just make it look like a real car. You don't have to do anything crazy. And I think you probably would get more buyers that way instead of making like a really funky design. Like, I never understood why they did that. The 9th gen, totally non-existent. I'll probably put a picture of it. I think the only thing I do know about the 9th gen Civic Hybrid was the taillights, and people would take the taillights off that model and put it on the SI, because I do believe that's the only model that came with clear taillights from the factory. Like, you didn't have to go on eBay, you didn't have to go on the internet searching for clear tails. You can just grab it off a Civic Hybrid and pop it onto your Civic Si, and if you're that kind of guy who likes clear tails, there you go. And best of all, they're OEM. You got OEM Honda quality, baby. The Civic Hybrid, the main elephant in the room is that it makes 200 horsepower and 232 pound-foot of torque. Now, I don't know why everyone's, up in arms about it, because it is a Civic Hybrid and it's not meant to be sporty, but let's dig into it a little bit. The numbers on the paper say the 0 to 60 times of the Sport Hybrid is about 6.2 seconds, which kind of is faster than the SI. The Civic Si, which clearly isn't going away, it's still here for the 11th generation, and they did make a refresh model for it as well. It does 0 to 60 in 6.8 to 7.2 seconds. I think that could be improved with, different tire suspension, but we're not going to be getting into that. It's just stock for stock. The hybrid will accelerate faster. Now, I just want to say, a lot of people kind of get caught up on paper. There's certain enthusiasts, I was like that in the beginning. I love reading magazines. I just love reading about weird cars and stuff, fact sheets, specification. I love reading them, because you look at some cars, you're like, wow, the 0 to 60 is like 2.9 seconds. How is that even possible? Like, you kind of get some excitement out of that. But as a Civic Si fan, does this make me feel some way? It doesn't, because the Sport Hybrid is a completely different philosophy, and I just might think they might have a chance. Compared to the past Civic Hybrids were just horrible. They were completely non-existent in the car scene, or I should say the Honda scene. It's just, even to normal people, it was just, they didn't like it. Pretty much people flocked to Toyota if they wanted a hybrid. There was the Prius, there's the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. There's just so much better offerings from Toyota, and Toyota has been making so many. I'm not saying that Honda doesn't have experience. It just never really took off. And even Honda, they tried it with enthusiasts with the CRZ. This, again, I did like this car, even though it was relatively slow. I do believe it was one of the very few options on Earth with a hybrid, electric motor and a gasoline motor paired to a manual transmission. Not many people have done this, even though it is a small little niche. That car wasn't, it just didn't pick off all that well, and it kind of failed. But going back to the Civic Hybrid, a lot of people are upset that the Civic Hybrid could now out accelerate a Civic Si. And again, they're both opposite philosophies. The Civic Hybrid is all about efficiency. It's all about being comfortable, while the Civic Si is about, taking corners fast, feeling that punchy engine, feeling the torque, even though the hybrid has more torque. They're just two different personalities. Now, to add even more onto that, Honda did announce that they are not going to be making the 1.5 liter turbo for the Honda anymore, which kind of does make sense because they're trying to push the 2 liter naturally aspirated K20. When the 1.5 came out with the 10th generation, it wasn't a total disaster. There was just a lot wrong from the get-go. There was oil dilution issues, there was head gasket issues, and there's a whole bunch of more issues. I could go on, and that kind of put a sour taste in many people's mouth. Pretty much whenever they were buying a Honda, not just the Honda Civic, a CRV, if it had the 1.5. I think that's the only way you can get a CRV now, I think, but I digress. If they saw that 1.5, they're like, nope, sorry, I don't want to deal with it unless it's been rectified. And again, it just left such a bad taste. There was just so much negativity around that 1.5. Honda just decided to cut it because no one really liked it all that much. And when I say 10th gen owners, I'm more so talking about 10th gen Civic Si. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty fun car, but the motor is really a letdown. Like, you came from a 2.4 4-cylinder dubbed as the K24, which resided in the 9th generation Civic Si, and he went down to 1.5 turbo now, which is really crazy because the Si is known for its crazy VTEC crossover, naturally aspirated, being lightweight. I just don't see Honda continuing on with that 1.5, even though they did say they will not be continuing that. It still continues on in the Si, I guess, just to give it that little bit of a difference. But again, the 1.5 wasn't well received, so I think that's why it's kind of going away. It kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth, and they don't want ever to return again. I think these are just numbers on paper, and a lot of people are getting too caught up on that. As for the Civic Si, I don't necessarily think it's dead, and for one reason. I'm not going to mention too much in this video. I'll probably make another video talking about the Honda Prelude, but I do believe the Honda Prelude, there is a video out there. I'll put like a little picture of that video here. There's more people going in depth about that, but I do believe the whole, sports driving when it comes to Honda cars is not completely gone, because I do really hope they do plan to release the Honda Prelude. Even though it is an automatic, I don't want Honda to give up on their, when it comes to enthusiasts. I really don't want them to give up, even though it is kind of a dying breed. Pretty much cut off all enthusiast cars and just sell like volume sellers, like, the CRVs, the Pilots, the Passports, because that's pretty much what's hot right now. I don't think it's going to go away. I think it most likely it's going to be released alongside the Honda Prelude. Those will probably be the most two sporty Hondas. And the electric motor is placed in the rear, and they did say it was dual motor. So I don't know if that's hinting if it will be rear-wheel drive. I highly doubt it. If it is, that, good job on Honda for releasing another rear-wheel drive vehicle. Would be like a bonus. It would be like, oh my god, Honda can actually make a rear-wheel drive vehicle again. That's awesome. But I don't think it's dead. I think the Civic Si, what we really wanted from it was, I don't know if you guys remember the previous generation Honda Accord, the 2-liter Sport. I think it had about 250 horsepower. If that originally came in the Si, I think, yes, it will definitely be more expensive, but at the same time, it would probably give it a leg up in the competition. And I think it would probably beat some competitors in the space that it should beat. But that being said, that's just my opinion. But all in all, I don't think the Civic Si is dead. I think Honda might release it alongside the Honda Prelude. So yeah, that's just my thought, and that's just my thoughts on the whole situation. So